13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was fun. He's a pretty upbeat dude.
Yeah. I listened to watched a few of his YouTube videos when Felix suggested, and that was our first guest suggestion. Listener suggestion, I should say, not guest suggestion. So
that is fun too. I've known Felix for many a year between his work with Cruising with Steak and doing all sorts of trivia shows and music submissions to different podcasts. The guy's really fun. Really fun. He could be the next Alex Trebek if he wanted in real life.
Oh yeah, he's a blast. He comes on Cruising with Steak every week and does a live. Well, not every week, but most weeks. He's pretty consistent. He does a live, song on the show. So that's neat.
He's always got some little musical instrument or keyboard or some little something cool going on in the background. Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, and he's got. Oh man, I wish I knew. Was it sirfelix.bandcamp.com? I think if you want to find his music. But yeah, he wrote the gratitude jingle for us, and it is also his birthday today. On the day that we are recording this, it is his birthday. So I said happy birthday to him in the chats, but he'll get to hear it a second time when the show comes out. So yeah, I guess this is the intro now.
We're already in it, Bill. It's not now. It was,
yeah. So Carpo, yeah. Cool guy, cool dude. Good interview. So yeah, guys, share the show. We do all this value for value. So help spread the word. Maybe we can increase the donations. We do have a few other ways to donate to the show if you don't want to just throw money into a black hole on a recurring subscription. You can do a one-time donation, so that's an option if you want to throw us like $10 or whatever. And then we do at this point, I'm hoping that we have stickers in the store for you to buy if you want something tangible. And then we also have our Shungite store.
Oh yeah, affiliate link. So yeah, if you're in the market for said goods and decide to head on over there, we get a portion. I don't know. It was a fun interview, and I loved that dude. Still wearing my stone myself. So not to sound too much like a commercial. All I'm saying is it's more of an endorsement of something I feel, not give me money.
Yeah, guys, we wouldn't want to offer you anything that we haven't ourselves found benefit from. I haven't taken mine off since I've got it, and I bought it before I was even a part of this program. So I'm super happy that I'm able to share it with all you guys, and I'm super excited that Adam is having such a positive, it's having such a positive effect on him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, can we do the gratitude jingle now, or do we have to overlay it?
Or we just overlay it right here. Oh my God, it happened in editing.
Gratitude, 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 oh gratitude. Gratitude, 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 oh gratitude.
Oh yeah,
that sounded amazing.
Audiomancy. There we go. This is the gratitude segment. But yeah, I think we're gonna use this a lot. I'm super excited for it, and just because it is Felix's birthday, I gotta go with my gratitude is that dude. I subscribe to his Patreon. It's something, and then just being the jingle provider in general, for a lot of podcasts that I'll follow his work. I subscribe to his Patreon. I support the guy. So jingles get stuck in your head, and I'm hoping that what happens with this jingle is that it becomes a sort of mantra that is an earworm that'll burrow its way into your mind and constantly remind you to be grateful about something. So
That's really awesome. I never thought of a jingle, because jingles work. You know,
They do.
jingles really do work for moving and selling and reminding. It's why you can whistle a tune and always remember it, and brings back fond memories. So yeah, that's cool, man. I never thought of it from that aspect. Well,
yeah. So do you have a
yes, I
gratitude?
was going to say I'm grateful for community. You know, the fact that Felix even, took the time to do a jingle for us, my own personal podcast outside of this, I have one of the listeners, sent me a piece of artwork, and it's so cool. Just that community, that reaching out, the helping and the giving and the it's really fun when somebody decides to contribute with their own free time to something that you're doing, because they believe in it, because they like it, because they enjoy it. And so I don't know, it's really cool being in that sphere of being around people like Felix and or Emma. It's just, I don't know, it's a treat. It's really cool that you can even have those experiences. So on a microcosm within the podcast community, but man, I love people, I love interaction, and well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, you get back what you put out, and we're putting out good vibes and getting them back. That's how the universe works, right? So it's working. It's all happening. Yeah. So I don't have it. I don't think I have anything else, Adam. Do you?
Nope. If you have any questions for the show,
Oh.
send us an email at 13questionspodcast@gmail.com. Have suggestions for people to come on the show. If you want to set up your own 13 questions for us to put out in the feed, if you have somebody in your life that you really want to have asked these questions, you have the opportunity to do that. You can head on over to 13questionspodcast.com and pop into the member feed there, and we'll get you all hooked up with that. It's what else do we have going on, Bill? Head on to the Discord chats. Bill and I are there. You can go ahead and
Discord. We also have a Telegram account. The links will be in the show notes, but both the website and the email address, it's 13 questions podcast.
Yep, 13 as a number, and then
not
podcast spelled up. No leet.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that because I don't know if I misspoke in an intro beforehand. But yeah, so Discord, Telegram, email, website, check.
Tell your friends, send us your questions, give us your feedback, reach out, find us in the Discord. And most importantly, if you gained something from the show, share it, help us, donate, send us your feedback, send us suggestions for guests. And thank you for listening. We would not and could not be here without you, and we are here for you. So again, back to community. You're here, we're here, and it's nice to be part of that.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys. So enjoy the chat. 13 questions with Carpo. All right. Well, Adam, I think we're ready to go, right?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm ready whenever you are, Mr. Bill.
Alrighty. I guess I'll be asking the questions this time. I also take notes, so I'll usually mute my mic afterwards. I'll be typing away or whatever. But other than that, you've had a chance to go over the questions, right?
Yeah, I have.
Bonus questions and whatnot.
They're good questions.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any questions for us before we dive in?
Nope, not at all. I thought about a lot of these, and I was like, well, I'll just have to go off the fly on a lot of it because it's, we'll just see how it goes. Because I pretty much know my thoughts on life, but they change day to day, right?
Right on. I like it.
Shoot.
Yeah. And just so you know, it's pretty open format. I do minimal editing, so it's as long or as short as you want the questions to be, so,
All right.
feel
Yeah.
free to answer as concisely or short as you need.
Okay.
And I don't really do any editing. So the only things I'll take out,
Okay.
like snacks, awkward pauses, technical difficulties. But it's a pretty
Sure.
simple edit straight through. I like a natural conversation. So,
Okay.
skeletons
Yeah,
in the closet.
feel free to cut me off if I ramble too much. Yeah, you can feel free to just chop my head off if I go on ramble.
And that goes for you too. Feel free to chop us off.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Well, question number 1. What was the best advice ever given to you? Would you modify it at all today?
That was a tricky one. And I thought about that for a minute. And somebody told me, I don't remember how many years ago it was, but it was an old man who was one of my early subscribers on YouTube, one of these guys who wants to, teach you the ways, right? And old men have this way about them. Some guys are just clueless, but some guys are wise, but, they play this game. He said, don't think too much. And at the time when he said it, I thought, oh, that's a ridiculous thing to say, because I was really deep into occult conspiracies, details about, how everything was built in ancient history, pretty much everything you can imagine. And he's like, don't think too much. But I really processed this and ruminated over it for the last 10 years or so. And really what it means is don't overthink. And I've really started to understand that. I've gone through, for example, I've been really fascinated the last couple of weeks, again, with ancient history, especially megalithic construction, in ancient times. And really, how precise were these things, right? And so you start watching documentaries and you get really sucked in. You're like, wow, I didn't know this. And the next thing you know, you're like, well, wait, this fact is contradicted. And so the don't think too much really came down to process an idea, allow it to plant a seed within your mind. And if that seed can be nurtured, it will be fertilized and it will grow, if that makes sense. It's like you can't force yourself to have new knowledge overnight. So in the sense of don't overflow your brain with ideas, it comes down to process a few ideas and let them flourish and see what happens, I guess. And so as far as advice, maybe I'm just stubborn. I couldn't think of anything better. But in the sense of things that have really resonated with me, I think that would be the one. It comes down to, I'm a thinker and I like to know the truth. But I found that knowing the truth can get you into a lot of trouble if the truth that you believe is not able to be proven. So, even though I'd love to believe that aliens land and visit humans and that there's this underlying truth and this group does this, I really don't know. I'd love to believe in magic. I'd love to believe in ghosts and all these things. But if I overthink it without any facts, I tend to, I don't know, lose it, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of drive yourself nuts because you just keep going in a circle, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty much I think the best advice I could think of. Just let yourself flow with the river,
Exactly. I love water metaphors, something that seems to be kind of like a semi-recurring thing on the show, but or maybe I just keep bringing it up, but flowing like water, because water always, just flows around obstacles, and it always, forms whatever shape you put it in, like a tall mug or a short glass or bowl or whatever, you're just be very fluid.
Yeah, I love it. I love the water metaphor because it's also like the river. You get stuck in eddies sometimes. Sometimes there's rapids. Other times you're in a calm flow. Sometimes you'll go under, but you come back up. But you always have to stick with it. You can't swim against the current, and that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it can be, especially if you're not used to doing it. Kind of takes practice, especially if, I don't know, if you're a person that likes to be controlling or whatever. I'm not, but I know some other people are or may, struggle with that. But yeah, it takes some skill, I think.
Yeah. No, sure. You got to let go. I mean, I'm not a control freak at all. I'm the opposite. I just let, probably to a fault, probably drives my wife nuts that I can't make a decision. Just like, yeah, whatever. I don't make plans. I don't really like to think ahead. Just kind of take it as it comes, Yeah. That's about all I can say about that one.
Oh, all right. I like it. Question number 2. What was the most important lesson you learned from your parents?
By even addressing this one, I feel like I'm obligated to make my mom. It's funny because this question is, I thought about this. And my mother she's still alive, but my dad passed away when I was about 15. So he had cancer. And naturally, when your father passes away at a young age, I guess I can't really explain the feeling, but I kind of was numb to it for a long time. And when I thought about what's the best advice I ever got from my parents, or the most important lesson, it was to appreciate nature and the outdoors and to respect nature. And I think that even though both of my parents taught me great values, that one lesson, my father used to take us camping in the desert every year, or the woods, wherever we'd go. And he was an outdoorsman, and he taught me the value of picking up your shit, pick up your litter, don't leave crap behind, which are things that you'd think would be just common knowledge. But unfortunately, a lot of people decide they can throw Burger King out the window at a hot springs or something. And it's sad, but it's more than just littering or leaving garbage or leave no trace. It's to truly climb up a mountain in the middle of nowhere and stand on the top for the sake of just the view, and to appreciate what it took to create this vast beauty we have. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I've never had a religion. My parents were never religious or told me anything about it. But I believe in a spiritual connection to the planet, and that the more we observe nature around us, respect and revere it for what it is, the more in tune we are with ourselves and others. And it's shown itself to be true to me. It's kind of like this old idea of, is God real? Well, look around you. You don't have to define God and this word God has become just such a joke of a term to even throw around. But God is like every animal, every creature to me. And that we're all part of this essence of existence. And so if you don't appreciate nature, and we are so detached from nature right now, to the point where I want to cry sometimes thinking about how dumb people are. And that sounds offensive, but they are totally oblivious to the fact that there's dirt in their house. Oh my God, what will we ever do? And it's like you've got to be able to flow with that nature. And maybe it's because of where I grew up. I don't know. But, getting out into the outdoors, just being at one with silence, with the plants, with the animals, is probably the most valuable lesson I ever learned, I think.
Yeah, dude.
Good. Being just a good steward of the earth, life, other people. I mean, it's such a core thing that, the splash on that is it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's no lie in nature. So I don't know, to me, if you're searching after truth or whatever, observing nature, being out in nature really is kind of necessary, because that's how you get in tune. Like you said, you the spirit of, the mother spirit of the earth is very connected, I think, to humans, and to be out there and observing it, like that's how you learn, is by observing, right? So you have to be connected with it, and that's what the truth is. There's no lie there.
All anybody is observing, everybody is just observing the television, or observing, advertisements, or observing Gucci fucking clothing. It's like, that sounds obvious, but it's just such an extreme disconnect from what's important. It's just sad. And you wonder if I know on a side note, a lot of people romanticize about our ancestors as being in touch with the earth and we should go back to those times. The reality is they were just as violent and corrupt as any other group. It just depends on the circumstances surrounding your environment. So, for example, during times of peace, cultures could live for hundreds of years without any violence. And the Rapa Nui from Easter Island, those statues they created, the people who lived there didn't even have weapons when the first British landed or whoever it was in the 16th century. They came and greeted them and touched their hats and their guns. They were just happy as could be. A century later, when the next guy came through, they threw spears and rocks at their boats. It tells you all you need to know about human culture. They do just fine as long as times are good. But when society starts to decline, people become more violent. So even the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, sacrifice was a part of life. And it's like, I don't know, for them, appreciating nature was much more important, I guess, than us, right? Because they had no other option. They couldn't go hide in their house and just get food from some other country. They had to either grow it or they were screwed.
Yeah, man, I've always thought like it's kind of weird how we spend all of our time in boxes. Like, you're inside of a building, and when you go to work, I mean, it's a box. And you go back home to go to sleep, you're in a box. And then you're driving, you're in a box, a moving box or whatever. Like, you're never really outside or like making contact with the ground. It's weird.
It is weird.
But yeah, so completely agree with that one. Yeah, man, cool. Question number 3. What book has been most influential on your life and why?
I think this might have been the question I had the hardest time with because I've read a lot of books, but the one that was most influential for me wasn't for the reasons I might think, or one might think. Yeah, I read about 1997, I think. I read a book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. And he was the inspiration for guys like Alex Jones. And the whole book was full of just he supposedly was a Navy lieutenant or something rather, worked for the Navy, and he exposed all these connections with aliens making deals with the government. But the main part that I focused on were the truths in it, like the CIA project, MK Ultra, the way that even in modern day, our own soldiers have been, people experimented on, our own people have been experimented on, that really there's no, once you get to a certain point of wealth and power, that you cease to give a shit about other people. And it's fascinated me. So it's not the book itself or the subject matter that really got me interested. It's how it launched me into my conspiracy realm, which lasted probably from 98 to like 08. And I looked at everything you could imagine, pyramids, aliens, all these connections, the whole ancient aliens thing, trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. And looking back in retrospect at my desperation to find something that could get me away from the mundane reality that we live on a tiny floating blue orb in the middle of fucking nowhere. And that if there were just some other race or some ancient culture that we could tap into, or some awareness that, we would gain something. Well, through decades of psychedelics, I really came to the conclusion that all awareness is temporal and it fades just as quick as we gain it. It's like, aha, oh shit. And we forget it. Mm-hmm. There's another book though, that more recently I've only read portions of, but I've spent a lot of time on, learning from Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And he was an honorary Freemason. There's a lot of hatred of Freemasons out there. The thing is that Manly's knowledge was vast and wide. He was probably one of the most well-versed historians in the 20th century. And a lot of controversy surrounding his death and his knowledge and the fact that he was a Freemason. But I used to just, while everybody else is listening to the radio on the job site, because I was a carpenter for a long time, and I'd just be listening to my headphones, listening to like psychology lectures or philosophy lectures or Manly P. Hall. And that opened my eyes to being a good man, being a good person in general, and that it is worth itself in its own rewards. Um, and yeah, that's about it on that. I think that pretty much the books that I benefited from the most are the ones that taught me to accept things as they are and to be the best person that I can be. And there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, the Secret Teachings of All Ages is not a light book to read. I think I've
No,
started twice and got through. Like I'm looking at it right now, I can see my bookmark in it. Like I don't think I finished it.
no,
But
it's
yeah,
long. It's
yeah,
long, complicated, and very drawn out, and it covers many different topics. So it's really hard. It's not the kind of thing you open and read beginning to end. But then there's a lot of the smaller books like Ram Dass and Terence McKenna and some of the psychedelic books I've read. The Psychedelic Experience by Timothy Leary and Ralph Metzner, I read when I was like 16, 17.
Oh wow.
And it taught you how to have a psychedelic experience based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And that one may have been a big trigger for a lot of the things that I sought later in my life. It was about preparing for your trip, just like you prepare for death, and accepting what comes. And those are kind of deep subjects, but you guys, I think, know where I'm coming from.
yeah, yeah. Not light reading by any means. I do think, and I think I'm allowed to talk about this because I heard him talk about it on Lighting the Void, but I think the Grammarica boys are coming out with an audiobook, Secret Teachings of All Ages,
Ah,
sometime soon. So, yeah, if you don't want to sit down and like actually read it, maybe
uh,
the listeners
yeah,
could listen to it because I know it is like, yeah,
it's difficult.
yeah. Alrighty. Question number 4. What daily habits or rituals do you have?
They're not exactly, when I first heard this question, I was thinking more of my habits, because then I thought, well, those are my rituals. I wake up every morning, I have a cup of coffee. I sit down and look into something, research something, and then I take some kratom. Around noon, I smoke a bowl, and then I maybe make a YouTube video, and then walk in circles for several hours. Not really. But there are days like that, and over the last few years, it's I don't know. I found moments where I'm super focused, and it's funny because rituals are extremely important, and I don't know. I'm always wrestling with my own habits. Growing up as I don't know. I consider myself an easy person to have. I can get addicted to just about anything, or obsessed with any subject, for a period of time, and then the interest just kind of wanes and fades. But I don't really have very many daily rituals that I actually do, and they would just be substances, which I found kind of sad and depressing when I really thought about it. But that's the truth of it. That's the reality. Most days I find a subject, either something that was in my dreams or something that I'd heard about in the previous day, and I go all out, and I'll sit down and I'll research everything I can about it. So the whole time I've been remodeling my garage, I was turning it into a family room the last couple of weeks, and I just uh, as I'm, instead of listening to music while I'm doing work, I'm watching documentaries about ancient things, kind of re upping my knowledge on things that I already heard about in the past. And every day there's at least one subject that I get obsessed with, that I will sit and write a ton of notes about. And I'll usually sit down and make a YouTube video and just spread it out to the world, and then just forget all about it. And over time, I'll find one of these videos from a long time ago and be like, I don't remember knowing any of this. And it's really taught me how easy it is to forget. I mean, we can only retain so much knowledge for one period of time. So a good ritual is to constantly reinforce your knowledge, I guess. That's the only thing I can really think of. Other than that, no real rituals.
I think it's awesome that you research something like that's just having the drive to learn something new every day, like, you know, continuing your education. I think that's important. Like everybody should do that, right? Just as far as like other like rituals, I was gonna tie in gratitude to that somehow, but yeah, forgetting to do things, forgetting ritual, like forgetfulness, like trying to remember things from a day-to-day basis, like remember to do something to incorporate it into your ritual, like remembering to take a few moments out of your day and be grateful for, you know, 3 things. You don't have to write them down, it helps, but I think just even trying to do that and be consistent about it is challenging, because even if you are really on top of it for a few days and then like you fall off and then you get, or you know, whatever, you forget about it and then you got to get back on the wagon and start doing it again. So I don't know, we're big on gratitudes around here.
We're
so.
very easily
man.
distracted, and there's so many shiny things and clicky buttons around us nowadays. It's very easy to fall off a bandwagon.
Well, I've got to say, you guys nailed it there. It's something I didn't even consider, because gratitude has been something that has been such an important part of my life for a long time. In fact, every year, usually around the holidays sometime, I make one YouTube video, my annual gratitude video, where I'll go over all the things I'm happy about, and say, you know, it's funny how hard it is to get people to really see that. They're like, oh, but my life's hard because of this or that. And I'm like, but it could be worse. You know, it really comes down to perspective. And I have a rosary I made that's 44 beads. And I go through and I count something I'm grateful for each time I find it for each 44 different things. You'd be surprised. You think, oh, well, that's hard to, no, it's easy to think of 44 different things. You can think of different animals, different experiences, whatever it might be. But just going through that once in a while and having a gratitude for where you're at, it's really the only thing that anchors us. You know, otherwise we start becoming, we start becoming, well, the word I guess is Karens, Karens of the world.
yeah. It's neat because if you, I don't know, it changes your mind, your mind frame, your state of mind. Like when you think of something that you're grateful for, and then if you try to carry that with you throughout your day, like it really does change your life. Like it's a totally new perspective on everything. You're not, complaining about things as often, maybe. I don't know. These are things I've noticed in myself. But yeah, dude, I think, gratitude. Right on.
I totally agree.
Question number 5. If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most, and why?
I'm stubborn. I'm really stubborn. When I feel a certain way about something, I'm stubborn as hell. And it's not necessarily that I won't change my opinion. But when I thought about best friend, naturally, my first thought was my wife. She's my best friend. We've lived together for 20 years. But I was trying to think of somebody who doesn't know me as well as she does. And that would be my friend Scott. And we've known each other for probably 30 years. And he tells me I'm stubborn, but he's just as stubborn as I am, and most of my friends are. But I heard somebody a while back, they said there's no such thing as being stubborn. It's not a real word. They said, well, I mean, it's a word, but what it means is you simply haven't convinced me to change my opinion. And I realized how that really hit home with me. I thought, it's not that you're stubborn, it's that you have already looked at something. So, for example, it's the same kind of thing as people saying, oh, you're closed-minded because you don't believe in this or that. And you're like, no, I've already looked at this for years and years and years. I just decided I don't believe in this. No, you're closed-minded. Well, it's people saying you're stubborn. So I think that, I am a little bit stubborn in certain ways, but it's only because I know how I feel, I know what I believe, and I don't put up with other people's shit. But I'm also a little bit too easygoing. If you were to ask my wife, I'm a little bit lazy. I don't make plans. I like to let things flow. And like we were talking about, like flowing like a river, that works until you get to a dam.
Right.
And then you've got to get around that dam. So that's pretty much a simple explanation. I'm stubborn as hell, but I use what works for me. And I'm very outspoken about my thoughts on things.
Well, to speak to the stubborn part, like, if you looked at a subject and you've considered it and you found it to be, faulty for whatever reason, like through process of elimination, that's how you would reach a conclusion that is more closer to, what you're after, like your end goal is, right? So the process of elimination, like, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
Like, as long as you've done, like, like you said, you've looked at it and you've considered it and whatnot, like, because how else would you make progress without exploring said subject and then coming to a conclusion about it? So
that's just it.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's being stubborn as hell is, like you said, what your best friend would say about you doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with what my best friend would say about me. So it comes down to that.
Yeah, right on. It's a good way to approach the question. I like it. All right, Carpo, what are you most curious about?
God, that's a lot harder to nail down than you might think. The human mind, I think, is probably one of my biggest interests. I mean, I'm fascinated with ancient archaeology, ancient history, how we got to where we are, why we have convergent evolution, why certain animals repeat certain patterns, whether there's a blueprint for evolution, space, time, all these things. But I'm most curious about our place as humans on Earth and in the universe, because I can't understand the great whole cosmos. I know that. It's like, I've always looked at it like a jewel. You're standing on a jewel, you're on one facet, just like everyone else, right? You can only see so many facets from any one place. You can move to another location, but you still can't see the whole. And that's how I try to use that metaphor for understanding universal truths. And there's people out there who want to know it all. They want to know where we come from, where we're going, whether our souls are this or that. Really, what matters to me is this 3D reality that I inhabit almost all the time, most of the time. And there's like these underlying patterns of human behavior that have been lost because of, like we were talking about, the way that we fall into, designer purses or, modern advertising. How much of this propaganda feeds on and convinces us that we should think a certain way, and how much of it really feeds on a human desire to be a certain way? So in other words, when people blame the media for all our problems, my answer is always, people watch it. So it's the people's fault. It's not media's fault. They're giving people what they want to see. That's why ads work. If people stop watching it, they would stop getting the revenue. It's about the people, but human nature itself is just such a finicky thing. And that's why I think history is so fascinating, because I'm most curious about whether we can be a better species and improve, and whether we can somehow overcome our ignorance and stupidity. And in the future, our kids can actually live in some utopian society. I guess that's all we've really got to look for. And, that's, there's a lot of things to be curious about, but I think understanding ourselves is probably the most valuable, because we have the most benefit from it, if that makes sense.
Well, in the progression of time, we certainly seem to be following that path. We're not overall as violent and as warring, and things are bad, things are tough, but they're also pretty easy. There's a lot of things that are accessible, roads and electricity and fresh water and plumbing and things that 300 years ago were scarce. So it is very nice. I've mentioned it before in the show, but I always take movies. I go back and watch really old movies from the early 1900s and see how people are treating animals and each other. And I use that as my baseline, because it puts me into perspective of where I am and how I think things can be really bad, and think, no, we're making things better,
Yeah.
So, we're on that sliding scale and we're sliding it. So you can't just, look at where you're at.
No. And it's not just like you say, it's not like we're just moving up to a certain point. It's an up and down. It's a roller coaster. And like I said earlier, when times are hard, people get tough. and people get violent and people get angry. And the thing is, you have to distinguish between when times are really tough and when people are telling you times are tough.
Exactly.
If you're looking at Twitter, if you're looking at your Twitter feed all day and all you're looking at is politics, you're going to think the world's falling apart. Oh no, Joe Biden's president, the world's going to end. It's like, guys, every 4 years, it's the same shit. You know, you've got to move past that and look at the bigger picture of what's really going on. And people are getting sucked into that. That's all.
We're on a rock flying through space with the possibility of cataclysm at any moment from either underneath the earth or outside of the earth. And yeah, exactly. We're worried about the people that are sitting in certain chairs on certain pieces of land and the coins that they have in their account. Or at this day, just the numbers that they're flowing into said accounts. It's a weird system.
It really is. It's really weird. It doesn't feel natural.
That's probably why it doesn't work very well, right? It's not in equilibrium with the rest of the system. But that's kind of cool, though, too. I think of, because if you think about where societies have gone in the different, you know, whether industrial or stone or different ages we go through, it's evolution. So I almost think like everything in the universe is evolving, including these things where a society only works a certain way up to a certain point and it falls apart because, it needs to evolve into something that's going to work better. So, you know, I see this as kind of being the growing pains of needing to find a system that's going to work because the old one can't work anymore. Yeah.
Crime has gone down significantly since the 90s in the US. Yeah. People are still convinced that crime is worse than ever. You have to look at the numbers and say, we're actually doing a lot better. And I, like you said, I have a lot of hope for human species, for people, and that we can do better. But there are moments where, God damn, it's hard to fucking have hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be pretty dark sometimes. That's for sure. All right. Question number 7. What was the most embarrassing or humbling experience of your life?
My most humbling experience, and I thought of one for each, which were pretty easy to come up with. My most humbling experience was losing my carpentry career around in my mid-30s because of sciatica. So I started working in roofing, doing houses, worked up to finish carpentry, started my own business. And sometime around 7-8 years ago, my sciatica, my back just started hurting. I was lifting too much and I couldn't help it. You can't be a carpenter and not lift shit. So eventually I was so stubborn. I'd get to work. It'd take me 15 minutes just to stand up straight and get to work. And then sitting in my car would be the most painful experience in traffic for an hour getting home. Eventually one day I went to work and I was like, told my boss, I'm like, I got to quit. I was like, he's like, oh, okay, man, take a few days off. I was like, no, I'm quitting carpentry permanently. And he's like, oh shit. So I grabbed my tools and I left and I never went back. And my back gradually healed. But for at least a few weeks there were times when I was laid out literally on the floor in agony. My wife had to help me into the bathtub because my back hurt so bad. And around that time, my middle son, I've got 3 kids. One is 8, one's 11, and one is 26. But it was my 11-year-old back when he was young. And I couldn't lift him up or the baby. And I thought, am I going to be this way for the rest of my life? And I have to make a decision on what I want to do, whether I want to keep punishing my body. And it really sucks to quit something. You put all your time and love into it and you love to work with wood, but you just, you got to rethink your strategy. It was extremely humbling to be laid out like that and to be broke and feel like a weak man at the age of 35. I'm now 45. My back's back. I've been doing, I just remodeled my garage. And as long as I don't lift a bunch of stuff, I'm fine. But that's pretty much the most humbling thing is pain, because pain shares the same pathway, whether it's physical or mental.
Listen, it could be a blessing in disguise because you've been in the industry and you see the guys that are in it when they're older and look at their bodies.
Exactly.
You see it.
Yeah, it kicks your ass. The most embarrassing thing is really easy. It was my teeth. I lost a tooth here a few years back. My front teeth were rotten. Basically, I had no way to smile. And I hid my teeth for so long that even though I got all crowns and spent basically all the money I had to fix my top teeth, my bottom teeth are still messed up. It's still embarrassing, but I can pretend, right? But that was the most embarrassing thing, is to smile in a group of people and have your teeth be rotten, because it just makes everybody think you're a fucking tweaker or something. And it's a really bad feeling. That's that simply put. That's pretty much it. Your teeth reflect to people, how well you take care of yourself. So if you have bad teeth, if you are,
and listen, we're also living in this world where everybody's picture perfect, right? People's teeth are perfect. I was forced into braces when I was a teenager, so my teeth are way more perfect than they should be. I used to have double rows of teeth. I had to have 14 teeth pulled when I was like 14 years old. Like, you should be seeing Steve Buscemi mouth right here, right? So when you look around, it's an inverted perspective. Everybody's getting their teeth bleached and crowns and fixed, and if you get one knocked out, you get a post put in. I mean, could you imagine like Neolithic man? Even though the food didn't hurt us in the same way, man, you knock that front tooth out, you're stuck.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know what you call it. It's that you're living up to this standard that like you're forced to like feel part of.
Yeah. My father lost all his teeth by the time he had fake false teeth by the time he was or dentures when he was like 24, 25. So it's like genetic. My brother just said he spent like $5,000 dentist. We just have genetic problems with teeth. It really sucks. And my diet when I was younger didn't help either. So yeah. Too many M&Ms.
Well, either way, from my end, you look fine. And if you'd said nothing, I wouldn't have known. So it's a beautiful smile, bro.
No, it was worth the cost.
Right on. Question number 8. What is your greatest fear and how did you overcome it?
Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is this belief that we're never worthy of our accomplishments, that we should always be better. And it's something I only learned about in recent years. And something that's really resonated with me. It comes from this deep feeling that we're unworthy of our accomplishments. And it's really fucked up because, we as humans should be proud of what we do. It's like, just look at the way even scientists with great discoveries are being berated by the anti-science crowd, or a guy who creates nuclear energy gets berated because new weapons were made. It's like there's always a negative side to everything, but imposter syndrome is it's weird because I know who I am. I feel like I'm a good person. I'm a kind person. I do my best, in most regards. I would never steal. I don't cheat. I have a code of values. But there's something about me, even when I'm doing well and things might be going well, I think, maybe I don't deserve to do better, or even the desire to. I've never had a desire to be wealthy, so maybe that's probably why I'm not. But but I really wanted to say fear of mortality, but I don't have one anymore. But I guess would be a better answer because that's the one I've overcome. I haven't overcome imposter syndrome, but I have overcome the fear of mortality to an extent. And I think that if we're all honest with ourselves, nobody ever really overcomes it. You know that you're here for a time and that you die, but we create a lot of crazy stories about where we're going, where we came from, and all that's fine. But I think that that's probably a bigger fear. And as far as overcoming it, the best thing I ever heard from Alan Watts, he says, if you want to imagine what it's like to be dead, just imagine what it was like before you were born. And as silly and surface as that is, it really, really stuck with me. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Just, if you're worried constantly about that mortality, then you're not living. And so that would probably be the biggest one for people. But the reason I couldn't use that as the main one is because when you say overcome it, I don't think we ever really do overcome it. If that makes, that's where I'm coming from on that one.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's a awesome answer. Both overcoming it but the imposter syndrome too. Like I've never heard of that one. given as an answer. I'm familiar with it, and I think that a lot of people do struggle with that, like more than I thought were out there. As I talk to more and more people, it just seems like that's something that I see others struggling with it also, as as well as me. But I think that it just falls into the category of just trying to be more kind to yourself, and don't be so hard on yourself. I don't know if other people have problems with that too or not, but yeah, awesome answer. Totally. Question number 9. What quality do you most admire in a man? Why?
You guys have really good questions because they are hard to answer. I gotta say, there's a couple. One is emotional intelligence, the awareness of being able to handle your emotions, not just your own, but with others, but not allowing yourself to be overcome with that. So it would be honesty with the self, because I think that it makes a man more balanced. And when we talk about men versus women, it's weird that in today's society, we actually have a sect of the population who denies that there are differences between men and women, which is just so absurd to me. And I get it that we want equality and fairness, but men and women just have different mindsets in a lot of things and different biologies. So when it comes to man, there's this idea that the man should protect, that they should defend, that they should bring home the bacon, or at least in the past. And this has changed over time. But I think that even though the definition of a man may change over time, when people talk about patriarchy, I mean, there were matriarchies all through history where women ruled entire civilizations for fucking thousands of years. It's crazy that people think that men have always ruled. We go back and forth. And but as far as a consistent definition of being a man, it's not about being in charge or being the tough guy. I think that that's some of the most shallow thinking we have, but really honesty with yourself and others and with your emotions, and being able to sit down and say, hey, I care about you. Like, I have people in my life that are over emotional. I have friends and people in my life who are completely shut-ins. I mean, they won't talk about anything. You bring up anything emotional, they instantly shut down. They're like, it's a narcissistic behavior where they can't address their emotions, that they even get sad or they're ever bothered by anything. But with some people, it's the opposite. They're just constantly bothered by things. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. And I think with men and women, it's important to acknowledge those, I don't know, where those emotions come from, and realize that it's programming from our upbringing and our exposure to society, and to kind of laugh it off, to be able to laugh at ourselves and others. If a dude can laugh at himself, he's a fucking awesome guy as far as I'm concerned. Pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. The whole emotional intelligence goes right along with the whole, concept of know thyself, which you were talking about in question 6, I believe, but about understanding ourselves and our place in the universe. So, yeah, man, I totally agree. All right. Question number 10. Who were/are your role models and why?
I had to think of all the different aspects of myself and which males resonated. When I say males, I guess it's because most of my role models are males. That might sound sexist, but I'm a man. So, Alan Watts, because he had fun with life. Jerry Garcia, because he was humble as hell, but he was super talented. Manly Hall, because he was educated. And my dad, because he's my dad, and my mom, because she's my mom. So there's a whole group of people, right? And it's really hard to define any particular role model. And it was one of the ones I really couldn't think of any particular person. I've even made videos in the past called "Why I Don't Have Any Heroes" or "I Wish I Had a Hero." And growing up, it's taken me a couple decades to really psycho and self-analyze my own mind and why I don't have heroes. And I think it stems from losing my father as a teenager, and this idea that if my main role model is going to die, then all my role models are going to die. Or that there's and I hate to think it's that shallow, but your subconscious is always coming up with excuses and reasons. It's almost like maybe I expect too much out of people, or maybe I just realize that all people are just human. So the role model can be any person at any one particular time, and it's a really hard one to think of. It's like, definitely using your parents as a role model is pretty consistent with a lot of people, but that's because they're programmed, that's their exposure, right? They spend a lot of time with their parents. And I feel like it's the same way with the old saying, don't ever meet your heroes, right? Because you find out that they're just humans.
Yeah, I can respect that, not putting anybody on a pedestal. I think that's pretty important when it comes to like any healthy relationship, like especially personal relationships. But yeah, so I like the approach to the question.
Yeah, it gives us all a chance, right? Because if somebody else can be that flawed and disrupt my view so much, well, look at what they've done. Well, how do I view myself? What could I be doing? Because we all have the same amount of hours in the day, when it comes down to it. So I kind of look I like that degrading aspect in don't meet your heroes, but at the same time, take that energy and put it back into yourself. You don't need to be the confident one. Okay, yeah, despise that guy. Look at what that despiseful guy can do. Okay, you're a halfway decent guy. Go further.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. I hear that.
All
Yeah.
right. Question number 11. What institution of society or structural aspect of modern life would you change given the chance?
All of it. No. A couple things that I would like to change, and I'd like to start with the pretext of we don't necessarily understand what we need as individuals, right? And we don't necessarily understand what we need as a society either. And like we talked about, this kind of unfolding evolution, it's like this blueprint. Who are we to say it's not in our nature to do the things that we do? I don't know if you guys, I'm sure everyone's familiar with George Carlin, for example. Got the old, he says, the earth isn't going anywhere. We are. He's like, what are humans for? And he said, the earth wanted plastic for itself. Plastic. That was the answer to why humans exist. And it's this joke that says that, in my mind, we don't really know why we're here. And therefore, it's hard for me to say the things I would want to change, because humans as a whole have decided on these things. Humans as a group, but there's also the military industrial complex, governments, people who have greed and interest at heart that are their own. And so those are some of the things that I definitely would change. The first one was the military industrial complex. Not the fact that we have an army, or not the fact that we can defend ourselves, because every culture through history has had some sort of a standing army, whether it's the public or a hired group. But the idea that we need to travel around the world, basically, committing modern day, genocide and taking over other areas for their resources, is something that is just hidden under the guise of protecting democracy. And I think that it's a very complicated thing, because I know that the people who are in charge sometimes do have to make hard decisions to invade a place that may be unstable. But is it their decision? I don't know. But I would like to change the fact that people have as much power as they do to control other governments. Another thing I would like to do is that I would change if I could, would be to end the drug war right now. I would legalize every single drug, to the point where people were able to obtain whatever they chose, because it's been shown, at least I think in Portugal, where it takes a minute, but the crime rate goes down, the drug rate goes down, the use rate goes down. The idea that legalizing weed would make a bunch of stoner kids never panned out here in Washington. It's more of the cost to society in general to have a war against your mind. But it also costs an exponential amount of money and lives to defend society against things like psychedelics, which get wrapped up in that. And about, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, we got pulled over on a trip out camping, and I had some weed with me, but I had no lid on the container, so it just smelled. Cop pulls us over going 80 on the freeway, smells the weed. At that time, it wasn't legal yet. He had us get out. I let him search my bag because I didn't want any trouble. And in retrospect, shouldn't have, but he found my mushrooms. And I thought, I told the guy, I'm just going out to the woods to fucking gain my senses again. I'm like, you're really going to do this? He felt guilty. He ended up, not arresting me or anything, but he took my shrooms. And I thought, nobody's harmed. Nobody's being damaged. And now I have to go through 2 years of probation over this stupid charge. So the drug war ends up ruining people's lives because of one mistake. But that might sound kind of shallow at the same time, because
you were in connection with nature, right? You were in proximity with several things that grow out of the ground on their own, and you just happen to be holding them. They're both edible and bioavailable and have compounds that are mimicked in your body. So how dare you, sir? How dare you try to ingest that thing that could also be put on your pizza?
Yeah. I mean, it goes way back to a fear of the unknown and a fear that people. I don't like to think that it's all a matter of mind control, but rather a matter of keeping the population in line to the point where, we're just going to make a blanket ban on anything that changes your mindset. Oh, except alcohol, because it makes you a dumbass. Because we can't really fight that one. They tried that. It didn't work.
Yeah, I like to think of society as having drugs that are beneficial to the ones making the rules. AKA, guess what? Nobody's going to drug test, your musicians, your creative types, or, the people serving your food, because you're going to gunk everything up, but, in the workplace, okay. Coffee, great, all day long, during the day, perfect, amp you up, make you more productive, faster work. So it's funny how we do pick and choose, especially things that, that one's really, really, really addictive. And if you get addicted and you stop, you get headaches. But that's normalized. That one's okay. That one's good enough that we give it to kids in a little sippy cup,
Yeah. Soda. That's one thing we don't drink in my house is soda pop. And I'm really glad, because too many kids are raised on McDonald's sodas. It's just really sad, man.
Yeah, too much sugar. Sugar is bad. But yeah, George Carlin. Yeah, I think he had a bit on not only the military-industrial complex, but also like drug war. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, so
yeah.
It's funny to tie to your mushroom thing. I don't know if you're a fan of Paul Stamets, and I love Paul.
Yeah.
There's also a guy named Rupert
Sheldrake?
Yep, Rupert Sheldrake and his son Merlin Sheldrake. And Merlin, there's a story that was written called the Wood Wide Web, I think is what it's called. And it was essentially, they found a tree that growing into the ground for the first time through the soil, they could see the mycelium growing in the soil. Mycelium is an aspect of mushroom, but it's so delicate when they've tried to examine what it does under a microscope, they couldn't. Well, through this large cavernous area underground with these roots growing through in the soil, they could observe everything going on, and they uncovered how extensive it actually is, in that it's basically controlling the entire environment, controlling plants, feeding them. So but now this is what gets interesting, because you make the joke about plastic, but I go, okay, well, mushrooms are creating the environment for the plants, which is the ecosystem for all the animals in the foods. And we've had cyclical cataclysms that go on over and over again. And afterwards, things get really churned up. And you think about it, like what's going to happen to a landfill, to an area of all these weird, exotic, crazy chemicals put together over 1,000,000 years or thousands of years, or what happens if, the mycelium go, okay, we need something else. We need another nutrient. What if it literally is plastic? What if plastic is the secret ingredient
That's a
to the
great thought,
to the
man.
next
That's a great
evolution?
thought.
That the world's going to get wiped out, cyclical cataclysm, man's going to get. But when things rebirth, when you have the next Eden, there's going to be something else that gives the planet a new elemental thing that it never had before. That's what the mushroom thing did for me, that I went, yeah, maybe what we think of in the most negative ways, could be, the real big stepping stone that we need in the future.
Yeah, it could be. You know what? I have this crazy theory because, like you say about the mycelium, I live near, right over from Oregon, about 100 miles from me. There's the largest mycelial network in the world.
That's right. That's very close to you.
It's a honey mushroom. Yeah, and it's fascinating down there. And this whole, I think, I can't remember how many hundreds of acres or whatever it is, but it's large. And there are many different areas like this. It's funny because I had this theory that, as the mushrooms we know may have been here predating plants, right? So it's very difficult. You can't find, any traces of them like you can with plants.
And spores can survive space. And so it starts to get really cool.
So maybe humans, maybe the evolution of human knowledge was nothing more than a vessel for either bacteria, viruses, or spores to make their way out into space. And maybe we are part of panspermia. And maybe we are the ones who only evolved just long enough to send out our stupid ships with all these things on them and get them to other places. It's a crazy thought, but it does make sense.
Yeah, over an infinite, length of time, and those things aren't getting wiped out. Name the cataclysm. As long as there's some soil left behind, there's going to be the ability to grow.
Yep. Yeah, mushrooms are fascinating to me. Paul Stamets is great. I mean, the work he did on the agarikon up in northern Washington. I live in Washington, so I'm always looking when I'm in the woods, and I'm always harvesting different mushrooms and identifying them, and they're just fascinating. Little fruiting bodies of a giant network that. I guess maybe that's somewhat like humans. Maybe we're just little fruiting bodies of a network we don't see.
Well, was it Terrence McKenna, said that the earth or apple trees or trees make apples and earths make people?
Yeah, people. Yeah, I can't remember how he worded it, but it was pretty funny. It peoples, the earth peoples.
Yeah, the whole mycelium theory is actually, I don't know, are you a Star Trek fan? Do you follow Star Trek at all?
I'm not. No,
that is,
really,
if you're talking about the episode from The Next Generation, then
no, dude, the entire Discovery series that's on CBS
oh yes,
right now.
I gotcha.
That whole warp drive is designed about this tapping into this galactic mycelium network, and that's how they travel faster than the speed of and it's just new technology that they're developing on a ship or whatever, and like this it's a symbiotic relationship between like mushrooms, like spores and stuff like that. They have this thing growing on the ship, and then you plug into it, like a human plugs into it, and then that like powers it up, and then you can navigate throughout space and time through there. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
Question 12. What is the most courageous thing you have ever done or seen in your life?
Man, I wish I could say that I pulled some, drowning baby out of a river, but the truth is, I think that the most courageous thing I've ever done is difficult to identify, but it would probably be raising kids in today's climate. It's easy to be selfish and to just say, screw it, and it's not like for us, kids just happened, but it was, it's one of the most rewarding and one of the most difficult things that a person can do, especially in a world where we don't really have any direction. Kids don't know if college matters anymore or if the job's going to be there for them. And I have a 26-year-old son who, he goes through some struggling times. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do, and what the world has to offer for people in their 20s these days. And hey, I'm 45 and I feel the same way. I'm like, where do I go? So I think one of the hardest things, the bravest thing I've ever done must have been just raising kids and giving a shit about them, because anybody can have kids. It's a different thing to raise kids and to teach them to appreciate the world, and you sacrifice a lot. But as far as just in general, I think that the bravest thing that I've ever seen would be altruism in general. I mean, I'm amazed at the fact that the humans have potential to sacrifice their own lives, to run out in the ocean to save somebody else who is drowning. I mean, there's so many stories of people dying, saving other people, or risking their own health, their own safety to care for the sick, or to pull people out of, rubble after an earthquake. And that's just always really impressed me. Sometimes I wonder if I, would have the capacity to do something like that, but I just haven't really been, encountered anything in my life where I feel like I've really been brave myself.
Some things you won't ever know until you're there.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is at least in my life experience, is even in those moments you can have regret, and that's fuel for the next time. So, I don't know. It's one, I love mystery in life, and not knowing how you're going to react until you get to a situation is kind of a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's like I tell people, if people who talk about astronomy or astrology, I mean, and, psychics, I'm like, I have no desire to know my future. I don't want to know how I'm going to end up or react to a certain situation. Just let it all flow, and just maybe I think that we're all brave in that way, that we're forced to just navigate this world. And I guess the bravery comes with taking it head on, as opposed to taking on somebody else's idea of reality. And it can be a lonely path, but I think it's the most rewarding.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. All right, question 13. What does it mean to be a man in today's world?
Just sit around, smoke weed, hang out. I would say that to be a man in today's world, to define it beyond being what society would define as a man, would be try your hardest in life, love the people that you have in your life and respect them and give them your praise and understanding. Be honest in all of your dealings in life. I mean, that's one of probably my most crucial aspects to life. And all the things that I fuck up, sometimes I get mad, sometimes I get sad. I have moments, but I never lie to people, and I don't bullshit or cheat. So it's a matter of just doing what you say. And I think that any man or woman, if they do what they say, will lead a happy life. It doesn't mean that everything that you do or say is going to be correct or right, or you're going to make mistakes. But at least if you're honest with it, when people call you out on it, you can really analyze yourself and try to use that as a catalyst to become a better person. And I can't say sitting in my chair in my office here that I know what a better person is. I'm just going by my own experience and the people that I've interacted with in my life. And I think that honesty is a major important point that we have to have. Honesty with others and ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, well said again. Like, try your hardest, love people in your life, be honest. You need to make a coin with that, like engraved on there or something. I don't know. But yeah, being honest, I mean, that's part of what we talk about when we're talking about the show sometimes. Like, there's never a bad interview as long as everybody's honest. So yeah, 100%, like integrity, being honest, all that. Yeah,
There's
well said.
always truth in honesty.
There we go.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah. Just imagine how beautiful the world would be if we would strip away everything. All those messed up things that you're thinking in your head right now, other
Mhm.
people are thinking them too.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the world would be like if people didn't have to put on a mask every day. I mean, we all do to a degree, but it, you wear your personal mask, then there's the societal mask, which is different. And I think that especially people get wrapped up in their groups and they think that when you start separating yourselves from other people and when you start thinking you're better than other people, I think is when you're really falling by the wayside.
Yeah, well said. Again, do you have time for the bonus questions? We got about 7 more.
Absolutely. I'm
Sweet.
down.
All right, bonus question 1. What quality do you most admire in a woman?
Well, that would be probably the same as men, I think. Emotional intelligence. And, I think that integrity, having a maternal instinct is really important especially if you're going to have children. My wife is a great mother, and there are a lot of moms out there who don't exactly fit the category of great mother, and that's very subjective, in my opinion, to what I think a good mom is. It's very simple, really. You just acknowledge your children exist, and try to inspire them to do what they want in life. But for some people, that's very difficult. I think maternal instinct, just like paternal, taking care of your kids, because like we were talking about earlier, we're looking for a utopia in the future. If you're raising dumbasses, then we're gonna have a dumbass future. That's just pretty basic. And I'm not talking about like academic intelligence, but emotional intelligence, awareness of your environment, needs of others. I think that another important factor of a woman is to not take things too seriously and to be able to have fun. My wife knows how to let go when we're out having a good time, go to a concert or something, and that's crucial. I've met some people in the past who are just so wrapped up in image that they can't let themselves go and just have a good time. That's pretty much it. Same thing as a guy, pretty much.
Which is fair, because I mean it's just the other side of the coin,
Yeah.
opposite end of the spectrum. Right on. Question number 2. What rule do you have for yourself that you never break, and why do you think that it's important?
Never, ever, ever cheat or lie. Goes back to the one we were talking about before. And I think it's important because even if you get away with a lie, you feel the guilt within. And then you ask yourself, why were you lying in the first place? Then you have to start acknowledging that maybe your inner thought process is not accurate, that you're not working up to your full potential. A lot of people just make lying a way of life. I mean, just look at some of the businessmen out there. I mean, they just take it as for granted that that's what we do as humans. We try to get one over on each other. So I think that never cheating and being honest is important to me because it makes me feel like I'm doing the best I can as a human being to treat others with respect. That's about it.
Yeah, that's kind of like living with that guilt when you do try to like live on lies or whatever. It reminds me of like when you're in school, they always say when you cheat, like you cheat on a test, like you're like you're really only hurting yourself because you're preventing yourself from learning, right? So
Yep.
yeah, right on.
Exactly.
All righty. Question number 3. What would you tell your teenage self?
Don't tell your friends about your weed garden. Oh man, that was a big part of my life. I got I got ratted out and went through all this shit. But no, I think that it really tell you can accomplish and who you can be. And it really comes down to a matter of if you focus on what you want, nothing can stop you. I didn't have a lot of motivation or really desire to get ahead in my life or when I was younger, and I still don't. But it would have been nice if I would have been a little bit more on top of my game when I was younger, when I had that motivation. So today I could sit back and enjoy myself. Not that I want to retire or anything. I like working. It's just, I feel like there's
You
a lot
don't
of
want to feel obligated to
yeah,
work.
there was a lot of wasted time, I guess. But that's subjective, right?
Yeah, you cut out there for a second, but yeah, I think I get what you're
Yeah, I
laying
was
down.
just saying it's
Sure.
subjective, as
Right.
to what a waste of time is. That's all.
Right. All right. Bonus question 4. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Music for one. Gotta have my music. I don't know if I could live without it. Writing and research, learning about new things, and gaining knowledge. And as far as something that physically turns me on, that would be psychedelics. My experiences with psilocybin or various other compounds they seem to open up this newfound desire to tackle some of these amazing other, hobbies that I have, like playing guitar. I mean, I started playing guitar 30 years ago and I maybe pick it up twice a year. I have all these videos I'd like to edit, all these things I'd like to do, and I just don't have the inspiration, and life just kind of wraps up and just comes down on you sometimes. And then a psychedelic experience will just reopen that whole, open the doors wide open, and I'm ready to. And the next day, I'm out there writing stuff down and writing music and writing songs, but psychedelics are something that I treat very respectfully, and I don't use very often, maybe once or twice a year. So I have to really time it out. I mean, I can't just party anytime I want, especially not having kids at home. So I usually plan it out to a concert or something in the summer. And this whole last year has really kind of kept everybody cooped up. So it's been difficult to get that full experience out. But yeah, I mean, I think that one of the most inspirational things for me is going to like a Fish concert, sitting out on the parking lot in my school bus and taking acid. It's fun.
Yeah, I've got some limited knowledge on that, but right on. Um, Bonus question 5. What is your single greatest driving force in life, and how do you further
How do you further it? I think education and just keep on learning, to never assume that you have all the answers. And I further it by my connections with other people. I think that we really don't give other people's opinions enough credit. We're always yearning to hear ourselves or to express something we want to say. That's something that's difficult for me too, because it's easy to get wrapped up in what we think we know, and we don't always have it all figured out. And sometimes down the line, we figure out things that others told us were true, and we may have been mistaken. But as far as the driving force that keeps me motivated, it would definitely be family, because those are the closest people that I have in my life. And without them, I don't know. I really don't know what life would be like as a person that has nobody in my life because it's been so long. But I know that I take the weight of their words, my kids, my parent, my mom, my wife, and it's important that we listen to other people. So yeah, my driving force would be to not let down those around me that I love, I guess.
good? Good answers. Yeah, I think I think we see eye to eye on that aspect. I can't remember what question it was on my interview, but yeah, family was part of that. Yeah, so yeah, I agree. I think this is what I'm trying to say. All right. Bonus question 6. What do you choose to ignore?
Paperwork. Any kind of paperwork, whether it be writing down my costs of, for a business starting out something. And I mean, I'll write notes for hours, but when it comes to doing taxes, when it comes to, calling people, I just completely shut down. I have this thing where I haven't answered my phone in like 2 years, and it drives people nuts. And it's not just because of spam calls, or which that's part of it, but I just don't. It's weird because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm in touch with my, connections with people, but at the same time, I always feel this pang when I get a phone call, like I don't want to answer it. And I'm starting to realize that I ignore obligations, and I am a procrastinator to the utmost extent. I mean, I'll wait to the last minute to do anything I have to do. I mean, the last fucking minute. But that's one of the main things in my own life. As far as what I choose to ignore in the world, that would be like I try to ignore hatred. I try to ignore petty politics and the media as much as possible. It's really hard. I haven't looked at the news in like a week or two. I'm not interested in what's going on with impeachment or anything else. It's like you're forced to focus on certain aspects of your society, and you have to be aware to be a driving force in your society, whether it's political or otherwise. But I choose to ignore the bullshit in the world as much as possible because it wears on you as an individual. It breaks you down, and as you guys were saying earlier, like you it's easy to see the world as a scary place, but really it is getting better, and we are doing better. And if you believe everything you see on the media, then you're going to be living a miserable life, right? So try to ignore that is my thought.
Yeah, dude, I'm in the same boat. Like, I got rid of, cut the cable or whatever. Turned off mainstream media. Like, it's all that is it's a distraction at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, big time.
Especially when they have you in a state of fear all the time.
Exactly. That's how they make their money, right?
Be not afraid. That's how we should be. All right. Question number 7. Bonus question number 7. What do you hope people will say at your funeral?
He was a good person. That seems very simple, but I would hope that people would say I made lives better. I would hope. My first thought was, oh, that dude had a good time. But in reality, life throws us curveballs. There's good times and bad times. It's all perspective. But I would like to think that when I die, people even show up to my funeral and care. That sounds sad, but I know people will. I think that that's kind of a gauge of the impact we had in our life is what people say about us when we're gone. But and for a lot of people, that seems to be kind of an obsession to the point where, and our leaders through history have wanted to, carve statues of themselves and have the largest tomb and, be remembered for centuries to come. Not too interested in that, and I think that there's kind of an obsession with people being seen a certain way. I'm just hoping people will remember me as being an honest man who gave a shit about people. And that's all I can hope for.
Good enough. It's an honest answer, right? So, I mean, that was the last bonus question. So, what did you think?
I've enjoyed it. It's been nice. It's nice talking with other people about these things, I mean, I really enjoy the format of the show. You know, it's
Nice.
nice to be able to just kind of
Yeah, you don't get to. Yeah, you don't get to have these conversations often unless you kind of plan this out. These type of deep introspective things don't often come up nowadays in this world of quick tweets.
No, they don't. They
Yeah,
don't.
it's pretty rare to hear, you know, anything positive on the internet nowadays. I'd like to think this is positive anyway, you know. But yeah, and like it is for me because like, you know, I really enjoyed my time sitting down with you and talking, and I do with every guest. So yeah, I appreciate you for being here, and yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed the show, and I'm happy that your Discord room is going well. I'm a little jealous it's doing better than 13 Questions Discord, but we're all
Well, hey man, you know, I have a 10-year YouTube, you know, history on there where I've built up a lot of subscribers. So it's kind of different.
Right
I
on.
just jumped into it, you know, but the thing is I'm too overwhelmed to be able to answer shit. I've got all these like people posting stuff and I'm like, God damn it, now I have to actually go in there and answer everything and talk to people. You know, I'm kind of a loner in a lot of ways. It's hard for me to keep up with social media, and that's why I always liked YouTube. I could just kind of post a video, post my thoughts, and answer the comments that people leave them. But there's something about Discord that allows you to post, you know, in an area where you feel safer. You know, it's not like a public domain, so you're not just commenting on some random video. It's on somebody's group where, you know, you're likely to encounter people who have similar mindsets or interests, which is nice. And I'm hoping to fix it up. I think I already have too many different categories on my channel, but I'll get that figured out.
No such thing as too many channels. Speaking from experience here, yeah. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, do you want to plug your YouTube channel to the listeners and anything else? Links?
Oh, well, if people want to visit, it's Carpo 719. I've been doing a podcast weekly called 15-Minute Free Thinking, but you know, it's something I'm still working on, and I've only started it a few months back, and I only have I have like 20 episodes on there, but they're varying subjects. And like, you guys have really inspired me to want it, because I want to do more interviews with other people, because it's usually just me and my research and me talking. And that's what I like, is that you guys have, you know, two of you that you're interviewing other people. It opens up different dialogues and brings out things that, you know, may not come to the surface with one person. So as for my YouTube channel, you know, it's funny. I just got, they gave me a strike on my account like 2 days ago. I'm not able to use it for like a week or two now. And this has happened regularly over the last 10 years. They'll give me a strike out of the blue for a video that's like 5-6 years old, because it's dealing with talking about kratom, of all things. Like, I've got several videos about all kinds of subjects you can imagine, and they want to, you know, give me a strike and delete my video for talking about kratom. It's like, it's one of the hardest things. So the point being that I do use the YouTube channel, but I probably won't be for a while, but by the time you guys get this uploaded, I'm sure we'll be back. I think I have way too many videos on there. I think I've done over 4,000 videos in the last 10 years. So they add up quick when you do a couple every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the censorship thing is for real, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how long this podcast will last on like Facebook or Twitter, because our feed is still like pushed out there when we publish. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how long until the censorship, if it does reach us, which I don't know. Who knows?
Well, you never know, right? It's a social, you know, where is the level of the swing today? In 10 years from now, it's going to be on a completely different area and level. I was listening to Dave on podcast 2.0 talk about this, and he's like, yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, the people that were being silenced, you know, out there were the atheists, and it was being done by, you know, very religious groups. Well, where are we today? So, you know, you can go like, you know, over the span of like 11 or 13 years, we went from politics being gay marriage, no politician would touch it, to if you didn't lockstep with it, you couldn't get elected. And those are like flips of the coin. So it's really, I don't know, that always makes me feel good when I perspective those things, because as bad as it is today, I know it's going to be on some extreme in the future, and that, you know, the can's going to get kicked around so many times that, yeah, it's not going to be like this forever.
Nope. I just want to see it go down. I've just hoping in my
Faster.
lifetime I'll be able to see some improvements.
Either way, look at it this way. You could not write a movie this good, so enjoy the chaos.
Amen to that, my man. Amen to that.
Yeah, I think we'll see some good stuff happening. Gotta stay optimistic at least, right?
Yeah, fireworks are cooler when they blow up in your face, right? At least until you lose a hand.
Exactly. That's happened to me, but I still got them both.
All right.
Cool.
Bio. I need to ask you for a bio. If you want to, you could send it on Discord or email it, and then include any links that you want us to put in the show notes also.
Yeah, just a little short description, because, you know, we're going to put out in the feed. So it's just got a simple, you know, like, hey, who is this? Who is Mr. Carpo? So it can be anything you want, you know, family man, you know, 2 kids, YouTuber, 10 years. Can be as simple or as complicated as you like it.
Sounds good, man. I'll definitely get one written up and send it over to the Discord then.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you so much for
spending
being
your time.
here with us.
You the most
It's been
valuable
awesome. I
thing you could
appreciate
give somebody, a portion of your life and time, and
Yeah.
it's so greatly appreciated. It does not.
Hey, I appreciate that you guys wanted to interview me. I think it's great. It's
Awesome.
awesome.
Right
You
on,
guys
man.
take care of yourselves.
Same for you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch, man.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, bye.
Peace out.
I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, what?
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians, and use labels? Now that's racism.
I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo,
Why is
why?
there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii.
Why?
I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why? I don't want no Hawaii. I don't want no Hawaii. Yo, why?
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.